Japan's automobile sector, once the symbol of its industrial strength, is now facing what many analysts consider its most serious challenge in almost 60 years. The giants that shaped Japan's global reputation, Toyota with its durable engines, Honda with its engineering precision, Nissan known for dependable performance, Mazda for bold technical ideas, and Subaru for detailed craftsmanship, are all being battered simultaneously by multiple worldwide disruptions. The first major shock arrived from the United States. Tariff increases introduced under Donald Trump shook the stability of Japan's carmakers at their foundations. As reported by Nikkei Asia, these abrupt policy changes did far more than interrupt export flows. They forced manufacturers to reconsider how their entire production networks function. Companies have begun shrinking their model ranges, revising long-term plans, and implementing deep cost-cutting measures. The Financial Times notes that the tariff policy has effectively dismantled a US-Japan automotive partnership that took decades to build. America had long served as Japan's most important car market. But now supply chains are tangled, logistics systems are strained, and factory operations lack the predictability they once relied on. Attempts at diplomatic repair have stalled, leaving the industry without a reliable footing. At the same time, Japan's own domestic market has been contracting steadily. With an aging population, declining birth rates, changing lifestyles, and highly efficient public transportation, fewer young people see car ownership as necessary. The Ministry of Economy reports that domestic car sales have fallen back to levels not seen since the late 1980s. According to Asahi Shimbun, this isn't a short-term slump, but a long-lasting shift in consumer behavior. As a result, Japan's automakers are being pressured on two fronts: restricted export opportunities abroad and fading demand at home. While Japan finds itself weakened, China has stepped forward, strategic, focused, and fully prepared. After years of studying the vulnerabilities of Japan's industry, particularly its dependence on foreign customers and its underdeveloped battery sector, China has assembled a vast and integrated industrial ecosystem. It now commands everything from rare earth extraction and lithium battery manufacturing to EV platforms, autonomous driving technologies, and large-scale supply chain logistics. The Economist reports that China now effectively leads the global electric vehicle supply chain, placing any nation without its own battery infrastructure at a long-term disadvantage, Japan included. This shift places Japan in a precarious situation. Bloomberg explains that China sees Japan's current difficulties as a rare opportunity to expand its influence throughout Asia and gain access to Japanese engineering talent, manufacturing strength, and distribution networks. Instead of directly acquiring Japanese brands, China is using a more subtle strategy. Reuters reports that Chinese state-associated companies are rapidly strengthening their presence in Southeast Asia, an area packed with Japanese production facilities. They offer joint manufacturing arrangements, shared technology programs, and co-production deals. Japanese specialists caution that while these arrangements appear cooperative, they can gradually shift operational control toward large Chinese technology firms. NHK has noted growing unease within Tokyo's administration regarding China's assertive moves in Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia, countries where Toyota, Honda, and Nissan maintain significant assembly centers. Should China secure influence over these regional manufacturing hubs, it might end up directing crucial segments of Japan's vehicle production, from component sourcing to final assembly. Economists from the East Asia Economic Forum argue that such influence could mark the early stage of a deeper structural takeover of Japan's auto sector. According to analysis cited by The Economist, China is advancing a calculated three-step strategy designed to expand its control gradually, rather than through dramatic acquisitions. The first stage unfolds quietly. Make foreign carmakers reliant on Chinese-designed batteries and related technology. This dependency is no accident. It's part of a deliberate long-term plan. When global manufacturers begin relying on Chinese suppliers for battery engineering and production expertise, China shifts to the second stage, offering shared production platforms and cooperative engineering projects. These partnerships, marketed as equal collaborations, draw foreign brands closer to China's technical standards, components, and industrial methods. From there, Beijing extends its reach internationally, supporting facilities across Southeast Asia, India, and Latin America, regions where a rising number of Japan-branded vehicles are assembled. The logos may still read Toyota, Honda, or Nissan, but the underlying technology increasingly originates in China. Analysts describe this as Integration without outright acquisition, a slow strategic absorption of Japan's automotive ecosystem. China doesn't need to buy Japanese firms to gain leverage over Japan's auto sector. Simply by tightening its hold over the materials, components, and global infrastructure that the industry relies on, its influence grows on its own. Recently leaked government memos, later covered in the Japan Times, show just how unsettled Japanese officials have become. The documents suggest that China can now indirectly steer Japan's automotive direction without entering a single Japanese factory. Its strength isn't in ownership. It comes from controlling the crucial building blocks: batteries, strategic minerals, offshore production zones, and the shipping and logistics networks that keep supply lines alive. Whoever oversees these foundations effectively controls the speed, cost, and technological development of the entire vehicle industry. Japan is being forced to confront an uncomfortable shift. The technological edge it once dominated is slipping away. For decades, Japanese automakers thrived on superior engines, rock-solid reliability, and hybrid systems that set global standards. But while Japan focused on protecting these traditional advantages, the rest of the world accelerated toward full electric mobility. Chinese EV makers, such as BYD, CATL, NIO, XPeng, and SAIC, now push the global benchmark. What truly sets China apart is not only production scale, but an ability to innovate at breathtaking speed. Chinese manufacturers can design and release a new EV within a year, while Japanese companies still operate on 3 to 5 year development cycles. In the EV era, half a decade isn't just slow, it's irrelevant. China can roll out several generations of improvements in the time Japan updates a single model. Beijing is fully aware of this widening divide, and it is using the momentum with confidence. Major state-run outlets like Xinhua and Global Times now openly say that Japan's automotive supremacy is fading as China becomes Asia's new technological center. These statements are no longer bluster. They reflect China's growing industrial power, its secured mineral access, coordinated planning, and massive workforce. While Japan tries to recover its footing, China is already preparing the next phase. Reports from the South China Morning Post describe discussions among large state-backed investment entities about building technology integration hubs throughout China and neighboring Asian regions. To access next-generation chips, power modules, new battery chemistry, or advanced EV platforms, Japanese car companies may eventually have no choice but to join these networks. Economists describe this as industrial gravity. Industries naturally drift toward where the manufacturing strength is greatest. Cooperation slowly turns into dependency. Beneath the surface, something even bigger is unfolding. Analysts from the East Asia Economic Forum and Nikkei note that China isn't just challenging Japan, it is redrawing Asia's entire industrial architecture. Beijing's long-term goal is to create a China-centered technological system in which major sectors, batteries, chips, logistics, ultimately point back to Chinese control. And the changes of the last 2 years show that transformation already taking shape. China has tightened export rules on rare earth materials essential for electric motors, high-grade magnets, and advanced battery components. Without these minerals, EV production slows dramatically regardless of the country producing them. Meanwhile, China is rapidly expanding massive battery manufacturing zones in provinces like Chongqing, Guangdong, and Anhui. These facilities operate at such scale that they could supply not just China's automakers, but entire continents. At the same time, Chinese investment is reshaping transportation and logistics networks throughout Southeast Asia, with billions poured into ports, rail lines, special economic zones, and industrial corridors. Nearly 40% of Japanese auto parts already pass through these China-supported routes. Combine this with China's influence over semiconductor production, power electronics companies, and global shipping fleets, and a clear picture emerges. Beijing is weaving a dense industrial net across the region. Once that network is complete, Japan's major automakers will find themselves caught inside it, reliant on China for raw resources, essential components, factory capacity, and even the routes that ship their cars overseas. In Tokyo, politicians no longer discuss whether China aims to expand its reach. That outcome is assumed. Now the only question is what that dominance will eventually look like, and how quickly it becomes permanent. Japan's automotive industry faces a future in which the technologies it needs, the factories that assemble its vehicles, and the markets that buy them, could all be shaped, directly or indirectly, by policies set in Beijing. If today's trajectory continues, the world could witness an industrial shift with no real historical comparison. A country once regarded as the gold standard of engineering precision and automotive craftsmanship may find itself gradually pulled into its powerful neighbor's strategic and economic orbit. When the shift becomes undeniable, it will be clear that Japan's struggles weren't just a temporary setback. They marked the moment one era ended and another began, reshaping Asia's technological hierarchy for generations.